Well, we met at Johns Hopkins. We're both alumni, and I was in the history department, and Anne was in the MAT program, as they had it then. And we met at a party in graduate school, my final year, and we went off on our first job to Fort Collins, Colorado State. 2 years there, 2 years at Boulder, at the University of Colorado, and 17 years at Case Western Reserve in Cleveland, Ohio, and then to the University of Florida, where we both had 21 years, and we both had positions there too. Well, we're both writers, actually. I have about 12 books, and Anne's done a biography, and she's as the co-editor of this journalogical style journal. So we're both at it still. Keep our interest in academic life. I'm a visiting scholar at Hopkins, so I go to the seminars sometimes and get revved up.
We have a daughter, and she lives in Minnesota, in St. Paul, and she has 2 children. She's married, she's a lawyer, her husband's a lawyer, and she has 2 little kids, 8 and 6. But Baltimore's home for me.
Yeah.
My family's here. And the reason why we ended up in Roland Park Place was that my parents were here, and I had no intention of going to the county. I mean, you know, as far as I was concerned, it was the city or forget it, and it had to be the neighborhood. The situation with Bert's breathing got worse, and we had a house with 3 stories, and that negotiating 3 flights of stairs, you know, to go from the basement all the way to the 3rd floor was kind of difficult. And this winter was horrible. But when we came and looked, they had all kinds of people like Sharna lined up. And I thought, boy, this does make a big difference. You know, people that would help us with a move, because physically, it's very difficult. And of course, it's emotional too. I mean, you've got all this decision making and who's going to take what, and blah, blah, blah. And it's just, in our case, we were going from a 3-story, half a house, into here, which just involved a lot of decision making. And Sharna has this wonderful software that allows her, she gets the floor plan on the software, and then she puts your furniture in. So you could really see what it's going to look like. It was very helpful.
Our concern was getting the books in. As it turned out, we brought fewer books and had more room for pictures. She brought in a crew of about 5, and they were extremely generous about their time and efficient and fun to be around.
They were terrific. Nothing but praise.
Nothing but praise for Charna and her group.
The women did most of the packing, and then they hired movers to move things. And they made it a pleasure. I mean, you know, which is terribly physically difficult, but they were just great. Really wonderful. And so, I gotta say one thing. The women who were here on Monday had terrific ideas for pictures. Where to put
yes, they were amazing.
And once they put the pictures up, it just transformed the place.
Yeah.
It made it ours. And they had good eyes. You know, they would say, they'd make suggestions. I say, oh, fine, that's great, sounds good. And it was. I mean, they were really gifted at figuring out where to put things. And I'm in awe of their skill. And then you know, people said, don't you mind giving up furniture and stuff? People gave it to us. A lot of our furniture was handed down. And to be able to give it to people who want it and who will someday give it to somebody else, I think it's wonderful. I didn't, ideally we would have stayed where we were.
We didn't find that a real problem at all.
That was not part of the strain at all.
And we're not so far away from friends. We still have our regular friends outside of Roland Park Place, of course.
And right now, we're both singing at the Cathedral of the Incarnation in the choir. And
just around the corner.
Right. See, the thing is, every time you move, we had 10 moves. So every time you move, you immediately join a church, join a choir, and you've got a group. It helps. So that's what we always have done. Except the impression that the staff made was a very positive one. And since
Yeah.
we've been here, people go out of their way to be helpful.
Also,
And-
the other residents are extremely friendly, and we've been invited to dinner twice now in the last week, and you know, it's a very social place. And there, of course, for us, being academics, there are other academics here. Last night we had dinner with a former, emeritus professor from Hopkins in the history department and his wife, and it was just delightful.
So I would say that, yes, the facilities here are really good, and I'm glad that we have them and plan to make some use of them, but it's the kindness of people that really makes the difference.
Yeah.